Talk!
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Right now? Okay. Hey everybody, I'm Kacie with Alaska Served, and today we are beachcombing at Anderson Beach here at the University of Alaska Southeast. Found some cool stuff already. We've got a dead little hermit crab here who's food for something, food for some sort of bird. We've got a bunch of anemones all over the place, which is really cool because usually they like to attach to hard substrate, but as you can see, sorry little dude, kind of made him mad, but it's all soft, but got some hard rock underneath here that they can kind of anchor to. Not as great as obviously real rock. Then we've got a bunch of sea stars all over the place. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that beauty. Absolutely gorgeous. There is, depending on where you are at in the country, especially in Southeast Alaska, you do have to be careful when handling the sea stars because they can contract diseases. So if you see that they've got like some sort of white fungus growing all over them, like obviously he's got white spots, but that's just natural. But if he's got like white fungus on him, do not touch him and do not touch others because it will kill them. And that's just, you know, a side effect of changing oceans. But yeah, so these guys are totally healthy. We can pick them up, manhandle them all we want. Got this little guy right here too. Super cool. Let's see here. What do we got? Is that a clam or a rock? That's a rock. Well, you can see all of his little 2 feet in there. You see that? So that's kind of where his mouth, he's got a mouth and an anus all in the same spot. His orifice all, well, you can't see it because the rock is in the way, but yeah, they're pretty cool. They've got gonads, reproductive organs, all in their arms. And yeah, you can get a really close up right there of his little 2 feet. And that's what they used to move. That's what they used to move, to grab onto things, to kind of just move around on the water. Really cool guys. If they can lose like all of their arms and still regenerate them and live. However, of course, that does take a lot of energy. It's very taxing, and it's a good chance that they may not make it through that. But I have seen it. There's been documents of it happening, and I've seen a lot of guys out here with just like 1, 2 arms, missing half their arms, and they're still doing pretty dandy out here. So well, we got a sea urchin graveyard, but this guy, this is what the bottom of a sea urchin looks like. Again, that's kind of like his mouth, anus situation going on right there. But much like the starfish, they've got, or the sea stars, they've got little tube feet to help them propel all along. And then the spikes, of course, are for anti-predatory defense mechanism. But yeah, it's really cool. You guys can see the underside of this dude. He might still be alive though, so I'm gonna pop him back down there.
Careful where we step, just in case there's some live ones. And we're gonna keep beachcombing.
Okay, so first off, got a little snail shell. Got a lot of snails running around here. It's empty, broken. But we have a lot of snails in the intertidal zone. Up here, we've got this little invertebrate right here called a chitin. Really cool looking dudes. Find them pretty often here on the rock faces, as you can see. And then something else we found are little limpets. So you could see them all along the rocks. Some really big ones too. A lot of people, a lot of the natives like to eat these. It's a pretty tedious process though, because you don't get a lot of meat off them. And something else that's on this is a barnacle. This is an acorn barnacle. These to me are super cool. because if you zoom in into the little volcano there, that's a little creature that opens up, and there's a creature that lives inside of this. So this is all calcium. And the creature that lives in there, he uses his arms. He throws his arms out like a fan to just catch all of those suspended food particles around him, and then he brings it into his mouth to eat. But because he's out of the water, I mean, he's closed, and we won't see him open unless we put him in the water and there's turbulence. And that's just a way for him to conserve energy, as well as his water. Because obviously there's no point in him being open and trying to feed when there's no water out here. So they close up when the tide goes out, and that's how they can all survive. So if you're ever walking around on a beach and you see massive clumps of them, I mean, look at those rocks. That's all just mussel and barnacle on them. They are alive, and they will they'll open up and start feeding as soon as the tide comes in and covers them up.
What do you have, Taylor?
I found a little crab. I think he was taking a nap. He can reach my fingers, so I've got a stick to try and, make sure he doesn't grab me, because they're little pinchers, but they're pretty strong.
Oh yeah, look at him.
There he is.
That is so neat.
So, we're gonna find a safe place for him, because there's a lot of birds on this beach, and he's not gonna last long.
No, he will not.
So we're gonna probably take him up to the tide pools and find him some water and some shelter, because he's just out here on the beach, very exposed.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we'll go find him a hiding spot, and hopefully we find some more cool little critters. So we found a place off of the beach up here in these rocks. The tide's gonna be coming in soon, so we're gonna put him safely underneath there. He can crawl back and away from the gulls. So hopefully
This little guy makes it.
yeah.
Hey everyone, I'll ask you, sir. I found a cool enemy I found on this rock. You touch was really squishy, but this guy, he's dead.
No, he's not dead.
Oh no, he's alive.
Barely hanging on.
He looks hanging on this rock. You see his little body, he shoots squirt out of his water.
No, he doesn't squirt any water.
No. He's alive. He closes fangs. He sleeps in the middle of the night. Then
And what's the thing next to him?
there's some starfish I found. They're a little squishy, but they're alive.
They are.
There's some spikes on them.
That's pretty neat.
So this guy, you can tell he's alive. He's just contracted his body significantly, because he was just draped over because of the weight of gravity, and because he's so big. So yeah, he's kind of just gooped over, but so trying to help him out. He's all slimy. He's probably going to fall over again. Yeah, you can see him kind of falling off to the side, but he is alive and well. So
That's a cool find.
that is a cool find. He's definitely not a Christmas anemone.
Good job, CJ.
Yeah, fudge.
All right, so right here we've got a Christmas anemone. Very pretty. He is completely closed up right now. Usually they're tall and they've got the little tentacles. But as I said with the, okay, trying to squish and make him move. Yeah, it's very, very faint, but you can see him moving. Okay, don't want to touch him too much because it does cost energy for him to move and react to my touch. So as I stated with the barnacles, they're all intertidal species, so their biggest threat to their life, aside from predators of course, is the threat of desiccation, so drying out, changes in temperature, and changes in pH as well, especially in Southeast Alaska because we have so much rainfall, and so that changes the salt concentration in the water for these animals. So when the tide goes out, a lot of these guys, in order to save themselves energy and from drying out, they will close up just like this guy right here has done. But then of course you have other anemones and little pools, like the little babies that I'm sure you've already gotten shots of, but this is one right here. He's closed up too a little bit actually, but some of them will just stay out completely with tentacles wide open because they're in a constant state of water. But for this guy, you know, it could just be that he's trying to conserve his energy.
Or Caleb's poked him already.
Or Caleb's poked him already. Yeah, it's a pretty likely scenario actually. But oh, real quick, just because I see it, there's a bunch of little baby sea urchins, little guys.
Get close to that one.
Yeah, they're really cool.
See him?
There's a baby anemone right here. You can believe that. I mean, look how small that is. That's my finger compared to him.
So just because I'm not a naturalist or scientist like Kacie is, how do they reproduce? Do they lay eggs or is it spores?
No, they're broadcast spawners, so they will release both sperm and egg, depending on what it is. Some of them could be hermaphrodites and secrete both. But most of the time, nature likes to have separate sexes for gene flow. So some will release their sperm, the females release their eggs, and they'll meet in the water column, fertilize, and then there'll be little microscopic little polyps just floating around in the ocean, looking for a hard place to land. And then once they land, boom, that's where they stay. They're sedentary creatures. And so this guy obviously has been here for a while. And I should stop touching him, but it's just so much fun. Anyways, but yeah, once they land someplace, that's where they stay, and then they'll just reproduce from there. A lot of them go away, like they send their babies pretty far with the current, just again to promote gene flow and to reduce competition in certain areas. It's a really complex way for a sedentary creature to breed, but it's really cool.
All right, thanks, Case.
Thank you.
All right, what did you find, Case?
Found a broken up sea urchin. Actually, a few of them. There's a few that are broken in half, but these are all their internal organs. Never dissected one, so I can't tell you exactly what all these organs are, especially since they're kind of all over the place. But all of these little like circles that could, I don't think that's waste. Yeah, actually I don't know what that is. It's not eggs, because their eggs are really tiny. They're broadcast spawners, so you don't really, it's really hard to see the eggs unless you've got a microscope, so they're not those. But yeah, super cool, very interesting. Now you guys have seen the inside of a sea urchin, and you can see there's some all over the place. This guy's broken in half. It's kind of tumultuous right here, but this guy looks like he's, yeah. So don't really know what happened, but something had a snack, or something will eat these. So I'll put that back for Mother Nature to take its course. So found an, I believe it's an Arctic sea star. I'm gonna have to fact check myself on that because there's so many different kinds out here. But he kind of looks like a peach ring, you know, like a little piece of candy. Anyways, really pretty. So it's kind of cool how he's kind of like spiraling.
Yeah.
You flip him over, and he looks drastically different than a sea star. Let's see if I can. Here's a sea star. Pick this bad. Well, actually, I may not be able to pick him up because he's on something. Let's see. There we go. See how different that is? And look at his little tube feet. Zoom in there. Look at them. Oh my gosh. They're so cool. You see them moving around? All these ones? Anyways. This guy, I do not see any tube feet on him. I know less about this guy than I do these, so I would imagine his form of locomotion is similar with using tube feet, but put E down there. I could be wrong on that, so let's just see. Yeah, like all of those right there, those could be his little feet that are just contracted. But he also moves his arms. Let's see if any of them are going to move for us.
He's like, no, leave me alone. I'm camera shy.
I keep poking him. I'm like, move, do something. Oh, but look at that. Like, it looks like at some point this was ripped off, and so he's actually growing his arm back. You see that?
That's really neat.
That is. Glad to see he's doing well.
Yeah, that's a nice size one too. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
he's pretty big. A lot bigger than the other one we saw. So let's put him back in the water, shall we?